Yo, what's good? It's Mastermind MMA, and you're tuned into another episode of Combat Culture. This is episode number 17, I believe. I'm unprepared, but if it's not, it's not. Fuck it. So, anyway, man, it's been slow MMA-wise. There's not much going down. You know, we don't got an event till like another week or so, or 2 weeks, and this shit is dry, bruh. Like, I don't know. I'm used to having an event every week, if not every other week. And when they don't have it like that, shit kind of sucks, man. Kind of slows life down a little bit when you don't got much going on in MMA to look up to. But anyway, I just want to do some shit because there's a lot of shit I didn't get to touch on last episode because it was more focused on TJ and Cody and Mighty Mouse and Cejudo. So this episode I'm going to touch on a bunch of new shit that's been going down. Not really new, but it's stuff that I didn't get to talk about last episode. And also I just wanted to get, if there is time, I don't know if I'm going to lead off with this. I'm not going to lead off with it. But if there is time, I want to get into the discussion of who is the bantamweight GOAT, Dillashaw or Cruz. I'm sure you guys know what my answer is. But anyway, yeah, I'm just going to start off rip, man. Conor Khabib. So the fight is here, and I didn't really get to give my thoughts on it last time. So what I think about Conor and Khabib, man, this is the fight that pretty much fans have been waiting for. This is the fight that in every business angle it makes sense, but this isn't necessarily the fight that should have happened. I mean, like, all right, so when I'm saying that, I mean, if you're looking at it linearly, when Tony beat Kevin Lee for the interim belt, it really should have been Ferguson versus McGregor. And the UFC knew that wasn't really going to happen. What the UFC wanted, this is what the UFC wanted the whole time. You could tell because Khabib's got a whole country behind him. Conor's got a whole country behind him, plus mainstream and casuals. So, you know, bringing those two demographics together in one obviously is going to bring the most eyes to the sport in a pure sense. And what I mean by when I say in a pure sense, I mean that this is going to be like the Mayweather Pacquiao of MMA. And you got two powerhouses. You know, Khabib's got his whole squad behind him. You know, the Dagestanis, and when you got like that kind of, it's almost like in music when you have a cult following. So what Khabib has is like a cult following. Khabib is kind of like there's a rapper called Tech Nine. I don't really listen to him, but this motherfucker does touring numbers equivalent to Jay-Z and Kanye and shit like that, but he's not mainstream at all. I'd kind of equate that to what Khabib is. He's got the numbers behind him, but dude, if you're not heavy into this shit, you're not gonna have any idea who Khabib is. And when you got McGregor, you don't even have to have watched even one MMA fight in your life to know who McGregor is. So the meeting of this demographic is something that the UFC wanted to orchestrate this entire time. That's why when they should have forced Conor to fight Tony after the interim belt against Kevin Lee, when they didn't force Conor's hand to put up the money, you know what I mean? Like, they didn't force Conor to get into that fight or say, you know what, you're not doing it, you're stripped. They didn't want to strip him. Instead, they made Tony Khabib, and once the first punch is thrown, we're stripping Conor. So they put it with that stakes, but you really could have just stripped Conor, made Tony the undisputed champ, and then make that like a title defense. But they knew with this fight falling out, that with Tony Khabib falling out, with the history of it falling out, that they don't want to risk it, making the undisputed champ, the interim champ, the undisputed champ, and then he falls out, and then you got to make it for the interim title. So the way they did it was a little bit cleaner because Tony did end up falling out. So instead of having another interim belt, that they have quote unquote undisputed. But in all reality, there's 3 champions of the 155 pound division, and that's Conor McGregor, Tony Ferguson, and Khabib. So you got 3 champs in the same division, and this shit is almost like boxing, because it's like you got Tony with the I'd put Tony as, can't put him undisputed because Conor took the linear undisputed belt, but in all reality, when it comes to strength of schedule, Tony really does have that. That really does have that shit. But anyway, I'm getting a little aside from myself. So we got like this 3-way going on, which makes good fights. It's really compelling, and I feel like this is what they wanted to head off this kind of tournament of champions, if you will. So you got Conor Khabib. Now, we kind of talked about the political side of it between like the UFC brass, how this is what they want for the numbers. But now I'm just going to get into the straight matchup and what I think about it, man. So this is the worst matchup McGregor could possibly take. And I respect him for taking it, because you remember when the whole Mayweather shit was going down and Dana's like, Conor told me he wants Khabib in Russia. Isn't he awesome? Oh, I just nodded. But when they had that whole shit going down, I was like, all right, he knows he doesn't want that shit. That's fake. He's just calling out motherfuckers that he knows he's not going to fight to make him look tougher. What kind of shit is that? But the fact that he's taken this in really a time he doesn't need to whatsoever. He does not need to take this fight in any way, shape, or form. Now, although this is the worst possible matchup for him, there is like this gamble he's really taking, because on the flip side, man, if he gets taken down, this is the worst matchup for him. But on the flip side, on the feet, this is the best, easiest matchup for him. So it's like this crazy duality where it could be your easiest fight or the hardest, most brutal, agonizing fight of your life. And that's just kind of the duality of Khabib. Because once he gets you to the ground, bro, it's wraps. It's motherfucking wraps. But if you keep it on the feet, your chances of knocking him out are high. And say what you will about McGregor, he's got precision striking, he's accurate, and he knows how to hit the chin. And that's in MMA. We're not even talking about McGregor the boxer, so I don't even know why I'm clarifying. But in MMA, man, Conor is on point with this shit. And it all comes down to whether you could take the hit. It's not that he wasn't hitting Nate. It's not that he wasn't being on point with his shots. It's just that Nate is durable and tough and could take that shit. It's going to take a lot more than just getting hit on the chin to take Nate Diaz out. So when it comes to Khabib, we've seen him in trouble with the Michael Johnson fight. We've seen Ali Quinta triple jabbing him in the face. We've seen Khabib's chin up like he's the second coming of Luke Rockhold. We've seen Khabib with major holes in his game. And I really do feel like the Ali Quinta fight was the fight that pushed Conor to be like, you know what? I'm taking this motherfucker out. And it's like, not saying that he wasn't considering it before, but I feel like once he saw the Ali Quinta fight, he's like, oh, dude, we're taking this shit right now. Because when you look at the Mendes fight, even though he got taken down and, put on his back and just like, pounded out, all it took was that little 10-second window, that 15-second window to take Mendes out. And I feel like Khabib's chin is kind of suspect. I feel like Khabib, not even that he's chinny, it's just that the way he keeps his chin high with McGregor's accuracy, dude, the way he knows how to put the power on, that stank on them punches, he's going to snap Khabib's chin back. You know, that ricochet motion is really what I mean. Not that ricochet. The whiplash motion is really what puts people out. And the way Khabib holds his chin up in the air, like he's motherfucking doing a set, and he's like, you know, like he's fucking weightlifting. Oh, gotta keep my chin up. Hands at a 90-degree angle. It's just like, dude, what are you doing? Like, it's basics. And it frustrates me when specialists are so high level in one area, but they lack fundamentals in others. I'm not expecting him to be fucking Israel Adesanya on the feet. But what I'm saying is, you should at least have those basic fundamentals down by keeping the chin tucked. You're at a place called the American Kickboxing Academy. How at the American Kickboxing Academy are you not going to keep your chin tucked? But we've seen that with Luke Rockhold. And, you know, it just feels like AKA doesn't really address the issues of their fighters. Because with Luke, they really should have been like, you know what, fuck hitting pads. We're just going to drill into you. Pause. Keeping your chin tucked without you even knowing. We're going to drill it so many times that your natural instinct is going to be have your chin down. At this point, man, I feel like Khabib he's not going to fix that in camp. He's going to try to make it a point to stand with McGregor for a little, because the consensus is if Khabib takes it down, he wins. If it's on the feet, McGregor wins. So I feel like Khabib being Khabib is going to want to be, no, listen here. I best stand up too. I best in ground, but, you know, send me location and I'll stand up. And I feel like that's what he's going to do. He's going to try to feel like he could stand with McGregor, which he can't. He absolutely cannot stand with McGregor. And there's no way, unless Khabib fucking leaves this camp, or unless Khabib been left AKA and worked with Rafael Cordero, there's absolutely no way that Khabib could even stand a chance on the feet. Khabib stands as much a chance on the feet as McGregor does on the ground. And we've seen what Khabib did to Edson Barboza, who is an elite striker, who at any moment can fucking just rip a spin kick and have you fucking have you on noodle legs. So we've seen him stick to a game plan and just totally negate striking. Then on the other hand, we've seen with Ali Quinta, when he can't get it to the ground at will, it's troublesome. Now, McGregor's takedown defense isn't too bad. You know, Nate tried to take him down a heavy amount in their fight, but in their second fight, and, you know, wasn't that successful. Now, Nate Diaz wrestling and Khabib wrestling is in total different stratospheres. But the thing about it is, if McGregor, and just looking at the Aldo fight, we know that McGregor can just execute the plan when he wants to, like execute his shots when he wants to in close windows. We've seen in all of McGregor's fights, except the Nate Diaz, that small windows of time is when he takes people out. He's pretty much a sniper with his shit. And he could snipe Khabib early because every fight starts on the feet. McGregor can't, and dude, when you even look at the Alvarez fight, Alvarez was hitting the canvas fast. He was getting dropped quick in that shit. So if McGregor comes out composed and just accurate, he could make this a quick night. But Khabib can make this a long night. Khabib's going to come in here overly confident. And, you know, if Khabib, all right, so what Javier Mendez says is that if we fail 99 takedowns, we're going to shoot for the 100th. We're not standing with Conor because we're not winning that fight. But in that same breath, He said, Khabib really doesn't listen to anybody. He does what he wants in there. In the Ali Kinta fight, we told him to keep the takedowns, and he wasn't. And he's saying in other fights where they wanted it to be on the ground. I'm getting a phone call. Oh, no. All right, I'm going to ignore it. When it was on the ground and they... fuck, I forgot what I was saying. Fucking phone call. Yeah, where it was on the feet and they wanted Khabib to take it down and he wasn't listening. So... honestly, man, it's going to come down to if Khabib is going to be arrogant, if Khabib's going to be cocky and want to prove something he doesn't necessarily have to prove, which will be his downfall. Or is Khabib going to come in like Barboza Khabib and just, if he puts a beating like that on McGregor, that's most likely going to end McGregor's career. So it's a toss-up, honestly, man. It really is on some 50-50 shit. Because, and it's very unique in that sense, because I've never seen a matchup that was so for sure in both ways. Like, I've never seen it that if McGregor's back touches the canvas, it's wraps. And if Khabib stays on the feet, it's wraps. So, you know, it's just whichever way it plays out. But to be quite honest with you, man, what I feel like is going to happen, this isn't my official pick right now. I'm going to give that later. But truly what I feel is going to happen is that McGregor's going to get it done. I feel like McGregor's going to knock out Khabib, to be quite honest with you. And you know me, man, I'm not a McGregor dick rider in any way, shape, or form. I'm not like on that type of shit that other people are on. But I just kind of feel like that's what's going to go down. And I feel like McGregor knows that. Otherwise, he wouldn't have taken this fight at all. Because he didn't have to. He could have let Khabib Poirier play it out. And then... you know, that's that. And he could have just waited. He could have let the division play itself out and just come back whenever he wanted to and get that instant title shot. But the fact that he's coming back to have a title fight with Khabib, which in all reality is like a unification bout. Because keep in mind, like I said earlier, there's two unification bouts that need to be done. This fight right now, and then the winner needs to fight Tony. And then once that's done, the division's straightened out. But if that doesn't happen, man, you know, Tony's just sitting there as an uncrowned champ. But yeah, so just wrapping that up, I think that Conor wins by knockout. And I think he's going to be... I kind of have a feeling that he might get taken down and he might get back up. And might create a little distance, but I mean, we're gonna see some improvement in his game, I think. Or it's gonna be on some shit where he just straight clips him like within the first 15 seconds or something fast, you know what I mean? And another thing is, if Khabib is gonna be on some stick to the game plan shit, keep in mind, McGregor's a counter striker. So if Khabib's going to be coming in with the pressure that he did with Barboza, even just to that pressure to come for the takedown, it's at risk. And if he's like just in, oh, I got to get the takedown, I got to get the takedown, I got to get the takedown, it's going to be telegraphing it and it's going to be easier to stuff. But, you know, if he really does have the ability to just be whenever at will, get the takedown, so we'll see. But my right now prediction is Conor McGregor by knockout. Next fight, man, I want to talk about is Poirier versus Nate Diaz. That's a good, entertaining fight. That's a good fight for Poirier because it's like, and that's the smartest fight he could take because with the, like I said, with the mess that's in the division, with Tony being the uncrowned champ right now, with another unification bout being needed to take place, and with the, if Khabib wins, we know how inactive Khabib is. If Conor wins, he's going to come back as champion again. He's going to be champ, which leads to a new contract, which leads to more negotiations, which leads to just posturing for months and months from both ends, from the UFC and Conor. So unless he wanted to fight a Tony Ferguson, which is a tough fight, and not much to gain from that except for just jumping in line for a title shot, this is probably the most ballin' fight he could get. This is equivalent to getting a McGregor fight, because Nate Diaz is one of the biggest names in the sport. It's on a giant card, and we know just style-wise that shit's going to be super fucking entertaining. Also, if Poirier beats Nate Diaz, he's going to be a giant name again. And by beating Nate Diaz, you absorb all his clout, you absorb all his recognition, and then that even further catapults you to getting a McGregor rematch from Dustin's thing I'm talking about, which propels him to getting a McGregor rematch because he has notoriety in his name. So, he's just like, he's kind of in a win-win position right now, because all right, if he does lose to Nate Diaz, then shit, man, your streak got snapped, but you lost to a legend. Nate's a fucking legend, so you can't do much against that. And we've seen Dustin constantly rebuild himself, so that's just gonna be a little bump in the road. He rebuilds himself, a couple big wins, and he's right back up there in the title thing. But he has more to gain from this than he does to lose, and this is the best matchup he could get, because say he waits and shit is playing out at the higher level of the division, like the winner of Conor Khabib gets Tony, and then he's waiting, and he's like, all right, listen, I don't want to be inactive, because once you're a little inactive for a bit waiting, people forget about all the shit you did. So, and then say James Vick beats Justin Gaethje, and then what? It's going to be Poirier versus Vick, which is a tough fight, which he really doesn't have much to gain and everything to lose. But in this, he has pretty much everything to gain and a little bit to lose. He does lose something, but it's like very, very bearable. It's a calculated risk, and the risk, there's more squeeze to the juice. The risk is greater than the reward. I mean, the reward is greater than the risk. So that's just like, that's perfect, man. It's a good fight for Nate to come back into, because style-wise, Poirier's going to play into Nate's game as well. They're going to be seeing who's better at that game, like how Nate came back to the Michael Johnson fight. So this is kind of like on that level. It's a great fight for Nate to come back to. Poirier's stock has been rising and rising. He's been building up his notoriety. He rose to the top of the division. So this is perfect for Nate to come back to, because it's not like a super, super dangerous fight. And, it's not like a Tony Ferguson fight, which would be a great fight for Nate too. But Tony's out, and this is like almost up on there on like a Tony Ferguson versus Nate Diaz level. Not exactly as high, but this is right up there. This is a great fight. This is doing a lot for Dustin. And I feel like I like Dustin, so I feel like Dustin deserves this. So I'm not going to do a pick on that now. It's way too early for that. But I think that's a great fight. That's a great fight for Nate to come back to, and that's entertainment-wise, that's a fucking dope-ass fight. Now, Tony Ferguson's cleared, so we're going to see him come back soon. He's probably going to wait. He's probably not going to take a fight until Khabib Conor plays out. So we'll see about that. And he's back to doing like dangerous, dumb shit, man. But anyway, man, that's Tony. I can't even be mad at him for the way he's training, because he didn't get injured from the way he was training last time. So it is what it is. Woodley versus Till. I got my fucking girlfriend is pregnant, 7 months pregnant. I really don't give a fuck. I got a daughter that I never fucking seen in 1 fucking year, and I really don't give a fuck. I care about legacy. Fucking Darren the Savage Till. Just on some shit. I saw a meme and it was like, me ma is taking her last breath, and frankly, I don't give a fuck. And I was just cracking up because he was on like that level of savagery. Darren Till versus Tyron Woodley, man. Great fucking fight, man. I'm kind of glad that it superseded the Colby fight, because although there's a lot of back and forth between T Wood and Colby, it's just like, I don't know, man. I'm not trying to see that, really. You know what I mean? I know people are hyping up the build up. I'm really not trying to see that. I feel like when it comes to like being an MMA purist, this is the fight that's rightfully next up. So, yeah, man. I feel like this is gonna be. I feel like this is gonna be another. If I'm keeping it real, man, on paper, this should be a dope fight. This should be a good ass fight. But keeping it real, it's probably gonna be one of the driest welterweight title bouts in history. Now, when you just look at it, man, and it's not going to be good for Woodley's title reign either, because Tyron has been facing absolutely nothing but specialists his entire title defenses, both Wonder Boy and the Wonder Boy series, Maya, and now Till. You know, this fight is similar to the Wonder Boy fight. And because of that, not only because of that, but I'm leaning more towards Tyron to win this fight in Tyron fashion. And I shouldn't even be saying that, because that's kind of fucked up, because it's not Tyron fashion really. But because of who he's fighting, I mean, you can't take anything away from Tyron, because Tyron is second to none at doing his homework on his opponents and coming up with a game plan and a strategy to defeat them, regardless of how lackluster it is. You can't deny that fact whatsoever, bro. Tyron does his fucking homework like he's trying to be valedictorian. Tyron puts in that film study work, that he is on next level shit when it comes to studying his opponents. Now, I'm not saying that he comes up with a super entertaining way of defeating them, but he comes up with what's necessary to come out with the W. And that's just how it is when you're fighting guys at this high level, because otherwise you're just going to lose. And you see, the Colby fight would have been like Tyron's entertaining fight that he would have won easy. That would have been light work for Tyron. Tyron would have just straight slept Colby. But now it's back to that chess match shit. It's back to that high level that only people that have a high level of understanding will be capable of enjoying it. It's not going to be that entertaining, I don't feel like. That's if Tyron does what he's supposed to do. And Till knows Woodley has a shit ton of power, so he can't really take as many risks as he wants to. Now, that's how I think it's going to go. On the other hand, this has potential to be a fucking barn burner. Potential. But I'm not going to be as foolish as to expect it to be a barn burner, and when it's a high level chess match in the park, be mad about it. So, but just from the matchup wise, I just see it being super high level chess match. But Till, man, in the face off, Till looked fucking giant compared to T Wood. And you know what? Like, that's cool and everything, but I think it's fucked up how they did Woodley in the poster. It's really fucked up how they did Woodley in the poster, because you never have You never name me the last poster for an event that there's a size discrepancy and they did someone like that. They never did someone like that, bro. And when you really look at it, it's I can kind of see what Tyron's saying, because unless you're trying to really make Till look like that big bad guy that's just towering over someone, you're not going to do that poster. Because in the posters, when they're facing off, they're leveled regardless. Even if it's Stephen Struve fighting Pat Barry, on the poster, they'll be leveled with each other. So to have Till just towering over Woodley in the poster, I thought that was a little fucked up. And you're kind of going all in on promoting Till, which I get it. He's like next up on potentially being a big star, but don't shit on your champion like that. But you know, it's whatever, because if Woodley comes out with this W, and if Woodley comes out with this W in phenomenal fashion, it's gonna be like, look, I took out the guy towering over me. Now what? But I just feel like from a promotional standpoint, you should be unbiased. But that's just like totally biased as a promoter. So I think that's fucked up in that sense. Now looking at it and looking at the fight in a different way, man. Till could go in there and he could be on some Darren Till and Poland shit when he was fighting Cowboy. He could be calm, composed, just totally pressuring forward and doing like Darren Till striking is elite. So if he could play it in a way that Woodley's whatever strategy Woodley comes up with against him, Till could get the W. This is a dangerous fight for Woodley too, because Till very well could get the W. Not only could Till get the W, we haven't seen much of Till's full potential be displayed in the octagon. So when you're doing your homework, it could be on some Dominick Cruz, Cody Garbrandt shit, because you were just kind of seeing Cody just sleep people. You don't get to see it. And then when you're in there with him, you just see like this crazy elusive. You see this brawler knockout artist turn into this crazy elusive counter striker. So you could see like this whole new crazy level of Darren Till's game. And if you're seeing it in the octagon in front of you for the first time, that's something you got to just be off the cuff with. You're not going to have a fully contemplated, well thought out, premeditated game plan. You're just straight up relying on your skills as a martial artist in real time at that point. And Darren Till needs to utilize that in order to get the W. He needs to pull out some rabbits from some different hats in order to get this. He needs to do shit that he's never done before in the octagon in order to beat T Wood. Because if he comes with, in any way, shape, or form, similarities to any other fights that he's had in history, kickboxing included, T Wood's gonna prepare for that. So he needs to come with some new shit to disrupt Tyron from his game plan. And that's how Darren Till could get the victory. I'm not making an official prediction now, but my early prediction is Woodley by a decision, a boring decision. That's how I think it's going to go, to be quite honest with you. But yeah, man, what else we got going on in the MMA world? Let me just check a website quick, see some of the new headlines, if there's anything else I'm missing. If not, then I'm just going to get into the Dillashaw versus Cruz, who's the greatest at bantamweight plan. Oh, yeah, and they got Kamaru Usman weighing in and training in case anyone falls out, which is smart. I think that they should be doing that for all big events, for all the big main events. Have someone you just pay to be on standby in case anyone falls out. So yeah, I think that's good. Let's see. My bad for this dead air right now. Not seeing anything that. Oh yeah, Paulo Costa and Yoel Romero. They're making that fight. Talk about the fight of just steel and shreddedness. Like that shit is fucking crazy. That looks more like Mr. Olympia than it does a UFC fight. But man, I think that's a good fight. He beat my guy Uriah last time, which is what it is. It was a good fight though. I think that Yoel gets that one done because I feel like Paulo's pressure and just his style of fighting plays into Romero, and Romero's style, and especially his new style of just kind of waiting and exploding and keeping his shit more steady. And he could easily catch Paulo with the way Paulo comes in. But if Paulo wins, man, that shit is, he's your new guy. He's like the new guy you get behind. Pause. So that's a good fight. And like, if he beats Yoel, he's like on another level. He's almost like an uncrowned champion at that point. And yeah, so that's that, man. I'm really not seeing much about what's good. Anyway, man, I think, should I talk about Gaethje Vic on this one? Nah, dude, I think I'm gonna say that for like next week or something like that. Yeah, I'll get right into it. Dillashaw versus Cruz. Who is the greatest bantamweight? Should I do this here or should I do this in a separate video? I'm just gonna do this here. So I feel like that at this point is a reasonable debate. But when you look at it, both two-time UFC bantamweight champions. Cruz is the OG. He brought in the bantamweight title. He was pretty much like the originator of the bantamweight, like, king. He was the first bantamweight king. And, you know, with Barao, he's not in the conversation whatsoever because he was really nothing but an interim champ in all reality. But TJ has proven himself. Now you're kind of at an impasse where you had, when you're debating it, because you're like, well, TJ beat Cody, who whooped Cruz, but Cruz came off the couch and beat TJ fairly decisively, in my opinion. So I feel like the only way, well, when you look at just the strength of schedule and shit like that, I feel like you got to give it to Dom because he's more historic and he's more proven in the sense of he's been well away from the game, completely retired pretty much, to come back into a title fight and regain his title. And, you know, although TJ came back and regained his title, he didn't do it in as emphatic of a fashion that Cruz did it, in the sense of the drama and like the rebuild process. You know what I mean? Cruz literally had to rebuild himself while TJ just kind of had to make certain adjustments. And, you know, I keep saying, man, I feel like that was a diminished, injured Cruz we saw in that Cody fight. I feel like, I mean, I'm sure now people will, I mean, I don't even think people would agree now, but I'm pretty sure, I know for a fact that Cruz would beat Cody in a rematch. Now, if we're talking about Cruz's path back to the title, I don't see TJ. I feel like if the UFC makes an official offer, TJ will take it, because he said he wasn't going to give Cody an immediate rematch, and he did. And, you know, I feel like if the UFC comes with that, TJ will accept it. But will the UFC be coming with that to an offer? I think that they should. It makes every sense in the world to. But if not, I feel like Cruz should rematch Garbrandt and then get the title shot. But the things I don't think they want to waste that Cruz Garbrandt rematch, because if Cruz wins the title against TJ, that's really Garbrandt's only shot at getting back at the title. So kind of like the situation Cruz was in, because well, not exactly, but Cruz lost to Cody, and then the guy that Cruz beat Cody. So right there is a claim to it. But when you look at TJ's bantamweight reign, he's got some good people on there. He's got a lot of the top of the division in there. He's got a lot more of the current upper echelon in the division on his resume. But Cruz has more of a history resume. And, you know, he's got like the shit with Faber. He's beat elite fighters like Benavidez, but that's like WEC days. I feel like overall the bantamweight great is Cruz when it comes to but you're almost kind of right up there with TJ. It's a close debate, but I feel like the trilogy needs to be set in order for that to be determined. Who's really the greatest of all time at bantamweight? The trilogy series between Cruz and Dillashaw needs to happen, and you could really sell that, like the battle for the greatest of all time in the division, and that could really be the true selling point of this series. So yeah, I mean, I think it's Cruz, and then it's really left to be said with how Cruz comes back, and I for one am never gonna deny Cruz coming back better than before, as long as he trains right and doesn't go into fights injured, or that injured, like debilitatingly injured. But yeah, man, that's about it. Not much else going on in the MMA world, but I did want to crank out an episode, get this shit on, and yeah, man, I appreciate everyone listening, and more content's gonna be coming, so you already know it's Mastermind MMA.